If you were no longer affected by the judgment of others and you stopped judging yourself, would you make different choices? Everyone has the potency to make inspired choices. Get ready to listen, share, and experience the creativity that is you. Now, here's the host of Inspired Choices Radio Show, Possibilities Coach, Christine McIver.
Yo, 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 how's it going? Welcome, everyone. I'm so happy you're here tonight. So we have got a fun show up in the house and a bit of a hot poker show tonight. So tonight's show is, how can I unknow this consciousness stuff? Have you ever been there? Has that ever been something that you've said? Well, tonight we're going to explore this one and what that's all about. But before we do, I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself. If this is your first time coming around, I am a possibilities coach. I love to work with individuals and organizations, whether big or small, where they desire to move forward in a new direction, in an expansive direction, where they desire to create greater in their life, in their business, in their relationships, in their bodies. What is it in your life, in your creations, that you know could be even greater, that you just haven't been able to put your finger on it? Well, when you're working with me, we dive deep. We go in the spaces and places where you've never even imagined to go, and we uncover the awareness of what your body, your business, your relationship is asking to be discovered. We sometimes poke the bear, we sometimes laugh, we sometimes cry, but I'll tell you what we always do is we do expand. I love working in this area. When I'm working with somebody, it turns me on, it lights me up, because I'm here to change what isn't working to create even greater. So if that's something that you would love more of, let me know. Some of my programs go from the pleasure of business a la carte, which is going to be launching in July, where you're going to be able to mix and match what you're looking to add to your business. I also have Divorce with Dignity. If you're in a relationship, thinking about ending the relationship, changing the relationship up, moving beyond the relationship, or healing from the past relationship, this program is designed specifically for that, so you can begin to create relationships with joy and ease and pleasure. And I also love the body of work that I teach from Access Consciousness, both Access Consciousness, the bars, and Access Consciousness, the foundation class. Those two classes are absolutely amazing and have been a huge contribution to so many people around the world. Actually, I have a bars class coming up in just a couple of days, 2 days. If that's something that you're looking for, you can connect on my website, inspiredchoices.ca, or you can find all of my classes through the Access Consciousness website at accessconsciousness.com/Christine McIver. And so that is pretty much everything about me. As I said, please do reach out. You can email me if you have any questions, Christine at inspiredchoices.ca. So let's dive into tonight's show, shall we? So how can I unknow this consciousness stuff? Oh my gosh. Have you ever said, this is just too much? I feel like I'm even crazier than I was before I chose to be conscious. Anybody? Seriously, how can I unknow this? Because this conscious stuff is really uncomfortable. Oh my gosh, I'm sure that there is a number of people in the world that feel this very, very same way. And we're going to get into this. If you'd like to join us in the chat room, please come on over to InspiredChoicesNetwork.com and click on the chat room. Come in and play, because we do sure have a lot of fun in there. And any questions or comments from the chat room, I will be sharing with everyone listening. So, tonight, what is this consciousness stuff is about? So do you recall, if you're listening to this show, you've likely dabbled in expanding your consciousness, but do you recall the very first time something popped for you around this topic? I remember the very first time that I was really conscious to, what is this, when it came to the consciousness. I remember I was I was at my brother's home, and he had the TV on, and I heard this man talking, and I felt like this energy was pulling me in towards the TV. It was one of the TV was on, but we weren't paying much attention to it. But all of a sudden, I was fixated on what he was saying. And I honestly felt like I couldn't hear him, although the TV was definitely loud enough. And I kept like, that face that dogs make when they're curious, like, huh? And I felt like that was what was going on within me. And the next thing I heard him say is, don't die with your music left in you. And oh my gosh, it struck such a loud chord within me that it had me go, what is that? I've got to know this. I've got to hear more of this. And that was when Dr. Wayne Dyer shared that on TV, and it pulled me in. It pulled me into the point that I knew that there was something here for me. And I'm wondering how many of you also have had that experience, and the experience of the joy and the, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm home. Oh my gosh, I've always known these things to be true. Oh my gosh, this is phenomenal. There wouldn't be the number of people in the world, thousands and millions of people stepping forward in consciousness, if it didn't actually ring our bell, light us up, have us lean into more. And that is exactly, the people that I play with, the friends and colleagues and some family members as well, they are in this same space of this turns me on and lights me up, and it's a space of what I really, really know. And it's phenomenal. And then one day, clunk. All of a sudden, you're in this space of consciousness, in this space of awareness, and suddenly it doesn't feel great. It's like, holy shit, what the hell am I doing? When we start to step into that space of awareness, when we start to step into this, real place of knowing, it can be massively uncomfortable. And the uncomfortableness can have us want to run away and hide. I'll never forget the first time I was sitting in a class and I was being taught by a spiritual teacher, and she was really assisting me to look at the places and spaces that were actually stopping me from what I said that I desired. And it was so friggin' uncomfortable at what was required to change, what was required for me to choose if I really wanted to get in the direction of my desires. And I can remember sitting there in tears and saying, I wish I could unknow all of this. I wish I didn't know this now. I don't like this. And it was heavy. It was so, so heavy. And, one of the things that we often have talked about was anything that's heavy is a lie. So what did I know at that time that I wasn't willing to know? I knew somewhere inside of me that this is what I did desire. I did desire to know these things. I did desire to move beyond whatever was going on. And what's really, really has rung for me for quite a long time is that if there is something that you are asking for, and yet this heaviness comes up, somewhere in there, in your knowing, maybe not cognitive knowing, but somewhere in there, you are aware that something has to change. So consciousness, I just want to get the definition of consciousness. The definition of consciousness is internal knowledge. It's a state of being aware. And that's from the Online Etymology Dictionary. So that's a dictionary that was published prior to 1946, where the meanings of words, many of them, were changed. I just love that. So consciousness is awareness. So what are you aware of when you are actually stepping forward in this space of uncomfortableness that you've not been willing to really look at? Do you know that your awareness is available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, your lifetime, in body or out of body? And yet how many of us talk about stepping in and out of consciousness? Whether someone is cognitively aware, where they're having conversation about it or not, they have awareness. They have consciousness. Every single solitary person on the planet has consciousness. They are aware. Now, whether we want to look at it, whether we want to really expand upon it, we want to dive into it, that, my friends, is an entirely different story. Because many of us actually, we enjoy the chaos. We enjoy the uncomfortableness. We enjoy not knowing. What is that? What is that about not wanting to get clarity in our lives, not desiring to really look at what's happening in the world and really asking the questions? Because that's how we actually get to our awareness, is by asking questions. And the awareness doesn't come from the thoughts that you have already been entrained with, that you've already chosen in your mind. The awareness comes from the question of you tapping to your higher knowing, to your higher being. Not that there's a separateness, but that space and place within you that is not in your brain. And many of us will talk about connecting to the universe. We are the universe. You are part of the universe, and you already have all of the awareness that's available in the universe. Now, have you chosen to access that into your mind as yet? No. That's why many of us, this is what many of us believe is why we are actually here in body, in this journey, is to access more and more and more of it. What would it actually be like for us to not run away from what's uncomfortable? What would it actually be like if we were willing to ask the questions and be with our awareness? What would it actually be like if you were to actually open up to receiving even more? Because what happens when you say, I don't want this, I don't want this? Whether it's, nasty food or an unkind word or even the uncomfortableness of your awareness, we put up barriers. And the minute we put up barriers, we cut off our awareness. So you have awareness about something, you're incredibly uncomfortable with it, you just want to run away from it, and then you throw up the barriers and you cut off the flow. So where are you cutting off the flow to more of your knowing, to more of your awareness, that if you were willing to expand even greater in those moments of massive uncomfortableness, would actually bring you way more awareness to move beyond, through, around, over, under the uncomfortableness you are trying to avoid. So, on that note, we are going to go for our first break. When we get back, we're going to dive in deeper. I would love to take your questions, your comments, and even share what's been going on for you in the place of desiring to unknow this consciousness stuff. So, we will be back right after this commercial break. You are listening to Christine McIver on the Inspired Choices radio show here on the Inspired Choices Network. Stay tuned.
Many of us make choices in our lives based on the past or what others think. What would our lives be like if we made choices based on what we desire in this moment? By tuning in to Inspired Choices radio show with Possibilities Coach Christine McIver, you'll receive tools and inspiration you can use to do just that. You are an infinite being with infinite choices. Are you ready to create the life and living you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices radio show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
What if you really do change molecules by your interaction with them? What if the change you've been looking for is right before your eyes? What if the uncomfortableness that comes with difference could be fun? What if the closed-minded people of the world no longer determined our world? What if gratitude trumps judgment every time? What if your kindness healed the world? What if the earth is asking for your help? And what if you had the resources to give it? This is your invitation to step into something that Einstein, Marie Curie, Picasso, Da Vinci, Shakespeare, Aristotle all knew to be true. Hi, my name is Dane here. 13 years ago I started to truly ask questions. Actually, I started to be the question, and everything changed for me. What if there are no dumb questions? Or any question too large? What if you being you are the gift and the change this world requires? Is now the time? For more questions to create a change in your world, sign up for a free video series at beingyouclass.com. My gift to you, beingyouclass.com.
This is Inspired Choices Radio Show with Possibilities Coach Christine McIver. To participate in the program, call in the U.S. 815-880-8255. In Canada, 613-800-8736, or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine@inspiredchoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
Welcome, 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 everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. So tonight's show is How Can I Unknow This Consciousness Stuff? And while we were at break, what was popping for me is, do you know why oftentimes we get into that space of unconsciousness? That we get into that, not into the space of unconsciousness, getting into that space of wanting to unknow our consciousness? Because there is something there that we have an awareness of that we know has to change. Now, why is it so damn uncomfortable? Why can this consciousness become so uncomfortable? Well, we have gone lifetimes and lifetimes of walking around in unconsciousness. And even if you don't believe in past lives, look to our world. Look at what people are choosing and what those choices are creating. And all of the places and spaces where they chose something and they created, maybe death. They created wars. They created hatred. They created massive pain, anger, divorce from the spaces of unconsciousness that they were just reacting. They weren't actually in their space of awareness. We have so many thousands and millions of people still today that are operating from unconsciousness. It's like being buried underneath, a billion bricks weighted down on our shoulders. And as you become yourself, become aware of consciousness, you start to step into your awareness in these areas, you start to perceive all of that heaviness. Yes, can you imagine you're walking around in your life and you've got all these bricks on and you don't even know. And then suddenly, all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, there's a billion bricks on top of me. This shit is uncomfortable, right? This is what is occurring with so many people on this planet because we are now waking up. So unconsciousness is being asleep at the wheel. It's being asleep at the wheel of your life. And it's being asleep at the wheel of the creations within our lives. And we have been there for billions and billions of lifetimes. We have got a lot of shit to unlock. We have got a lot of crap to let go of. And that is one of the greatest reasons it's so intense and it's so uncomfortable, because there's still so much of it here. And what would it take for all of us to lean in more? That, when we start to choose to lean in, to go beyond the resistance, to allow the resistance of this uncomfortableness to go, we begin to change and see that we actually have the choice to change our realities. We start to expand the possibilities. We start to work with the magic that we truly are. And we start to grow with more joy and more ease in our lives and in our bodies than we have ever had before. And oh my gosh, when you start to choose that, when you start to play in that realm, when you start to really own your knowing that you can change anything and you can have the desires that are speaking to you, oh my gosh, that's when you say to yourself, this is why I chose it. This is what I knew that I couldn't cognitively speak to. When we are willing to do what's required, to have our own back, and to never ever give up, never ever give in, and move through whatever shit is with us, and allow this damn uncomfortableness to be completely blasted out of our reality, oh my gosh. It's like smashing through a great big pile of dirt and suddenly the sun is shining. You can breathe. You have space. And you are where you always knew was possible. We have Faith in the chat room that says, thanks for the push, but I think something else is trying to come through. So she's going to be sitting with it and let the uncomfortable that wants to show up instead. Okay, cool, Faith. So Faith is willing right now to be with this uncomfortableness, to not run away, to lean into it and allow it to bubble to the surface. How many people do you know that would be willing to stay with uncomfortableness, that would be willing to stay with pain? When you're hungry, what do? Do you reach out to grab food or water or drink to change that, or do you stay with it? Most of us don't stay with it, do we? Most of us choose to change it with a doing. How many people are in uncomfortable, unhappy places in their relationships, and they look to distract themselves from it, and they look to put something else in their path so they don't actually have to be with the uncomfortableness in order to possibly change it? Do you know that many people that have chosen to be in a marriage, and when the marriage becomes really uncomfortable, that they will distract themselves by having an affair? Most people are having affairs in the world because they're not willing to look at what actually is and truly look at what it is that they actually desire. Because you see, if they did both, they would have no choice but to change it. So instead, they distract themselves with a lover. They distract themselves with something away from the thing that is making them uncomfortable. They want to put on blinders. How many people are actually desiring to put on blinders to what's going on in their life? Because by putting on blinders, they actually don't have to rock the boat. Are you willing to rock your boat? Are you willing to wade through the uncomfortableness so you can get to the promised land, the land that you promised you would have? You see, this is all up to you. Oh, there are many amazing resources in the world that you can tap into, that you can learn and grow from. But when it comes to actually changing something, that's, my friends, that is in your court. That is up for you to change. And you have to be the one that chooses it. You have to be the one that puts your awareness first. That has to be the one that is choosing to change your life and choosing to move beyond the uncomfortable, to be choosing to move beyond your unconsciousness. Do you know that you're also choosing unconsciousness? That you're also choosing the uncomfortableness? Yeah. You've chosen to be uncomfortable. You've chosen. It's like kind of having, how many people are actually got one foot in consciousness and one foot in unconsciousness simultaneously? And they step in and out of those two areas of their life, depending on what's comfortable. Well, here's a big news bulletin, everyone. You cannot have one foot in and one foot out and really create what it is you're desiring. You have got to be willing to be with what truly is and be willing to be aware of every aspect of it in order to have more of what your heart, what your knowing is asking you to step into. Someone in the chat room says, I have the awareness that a lover makes it easier to tolerate staying in a relationship, so that can take away the choice to leave, ironically. Right? No more hokey pokey. Put the left foot in and put the right foot out. You know what? How about you shake off any place and space where you're choosing to be unconscious? Now, yes, there's many things that we can be choosing to assist us as we go through our choosing space. So if you are in a relationship and you have a lover, are you choosing that lover so you are gaining more of what you do desire? So you are actually moving through the relationship that you truly do desire to conclude? Would you be willing to be in your awareness with both and not lie to you? Because many people are actually lying to themselves. And you're the only one that's going to know that. You're the only one that's going to know if you're cutting off your awareness, if you're cutting off the space and place of what you do desire. Most of us are in uncomfortable because we keep cutting off the pathway to what it is that we desire. We start to change. Now, it doesn't matter, truthfully, whether you stay in the uncomfortableness for 10 years or 10 lifetimes. If that desire is there, it's not going to go away. Oh, you may quiet it. You may quiet those desires. You may push them aside. You may pretend in your life that everything is hunky-dory, that everything is good enough. How many people are actually in their life with it's just good enough? You know what? I should be satisfied. And yet, something niggles at us in the dark of night when there's nobody with us as we close our eyes. Nobody with us in our thoughts when we open up our eyes and we think about our day moving forward. We think about, gee, I wish it was different. And we push it aside again. And we step into our day, one foot in, one foot out. In the chat room, if I had a lover or two or three, I would imagine I would be consciously discovering what I truly desire so that I can make a new choice. Fabulous. Whatever choice you are making, there's no right or wrong choice. I would like everyone to realize that. But if there is something within you that is screaming, I don't want to know this, I want to unknow this, that's the lie. Because if you are aware of something, you've chosen it on some level. And the what you're actually saying in that I don't want to know this, I want to unknow this consciousness stuff, you're actually trying to run away from something that is staring you in the face, that is asking you to please move beyond this. When we get back from our next break, we'll dive a little bit deep into what we can actually be choosing to move beyond the desire of trying to be unconscious again, going back into our unconsciousness. Stay tuned, everyone. You are listening to Christine McIver on the Inspired Choices radio show here on the Inspired Choices Network, and we'll be back right after this short commercial break.
Many of us make choices in our lives based on the past or what others think. What would our lives be like if we made choices based on what we desire in this moment? By tuning in to Inspired Choices radio show with Possibilities Coach Christine McIver, you'll receive tools and inspiration you can use to do just that. You are an infinite being with infinite choices. Are you ready to create the life and living you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices radio show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
What if you really do change molecules by your interaction with them? What if the change you've been looking for is right before your eyes? What if the uncomfortableness that comes with difference could be fun? What if the closed-minded people of the world no longer determined our world? What if gratitude trumps judgment every time? What if your kindness healed the world? What if the earth is asking for your help? And what if you had the resources to give it? This is your invitation to step into something that Einstein, Marie Curie, Picasso, Da Vinci, Shakespeare, Aristotle all knew to be true. Hi, my name is Dane here. 13 years ago I started to truly ask questions. Actually, I started to be the question, and everything changed for me. What if there are no dumb questions? Or any question too large? What if you being you are the gift and the change this world requires? Is now the time? For more questions to create a change in your world, sign up for a free video series at beingyouclass.com. My gift to you, beingyouclass.com.
This is Inspired Choices radio show with Possibilities Coach Christine McIver. To participate in the program, call in the U.S. 815-880-8255. In Canada, 613-800-8736, or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine@inspiredchoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
All right. Thank you so much for joining tonight. Tonight's show is, wherever you are, whether it's live or in the replay, tonight's show is How Can I Unknow This Consciousness Stuff? We're talking about being uncomfortable and what is actually going on when we are uncomfortable. You know, you can't put the milk back in the bag once you've spilt it. You can't unknow what you know. But when you try to ignore your knowing, the uncomfortableness becomes even greater. This is what is going on when you are in that space of massive uncomfortableness. It's because you are trying to unknow what you know. You are trying to push it aside, but you can't. You can't unknow it. Yes, Rhonda says it's like trying to put the toothpaste back in the tube. It just ain't going to happen. It's going to be messy. Oh, you might shove a little bit in there, but it is going to be sticky and gooey and messy, and you're sure as shit not going to get it all back in there. So what if you chose beyond this? What if you seriously chose to lean into it, to lean into the uncomfortableness, to say, I am going to do this no matter what it takes. I'm going to reach out to the people that I know are in the space to support me, are in the space of choosing this themselves, are not running away from their lives, are not running away from their knowing, even when it's massively uncomfortable. I don't know anyone, folks, since I have really stepped into this space, I don't know anyone that hasn't felt uncomfortable when they are in this space of choosing more. This uncomfortableness is like growing pains. When your body is expanding, we have growing pains. Well, how much of this uncomfortableness is your growing pains into expanding your consciousness even greater, your awareness even greater than you ever even imagined? And how much does it feel like you're not going to make it through? How much does it feel like it's so intense that you're not going to be able to get beyond it? Well, I'm here to tell you that no matter how uncomfortable it is, no matter how many times you want to scream, how much you maybe even want to leave your body, if there is a space of uncomfortableness, there is also a space within you of where you know what you are desiring to know. And if you will lean into it, if you will choose tools that will assist you to lean into it, you will move beyond it. And when you are, yes, like Rhonda says, when you are trying to put the toothpaste back in the toothpaste tube, or you're trying to unknow what you know, it's just a big fat waste of time. It really is not creating greater. It's actually probably turning up the uncomfortableness even more. So what can we do? What can we actually choose that will create us moving beyond the uncomfortableness? Well, the first thing that I would suggest you do is lower your barriers, because those barriers that you have up are cutting off your awareness. And it's like wanting to run and hide under the blankets, right? You want to pull up the blankets and you want to make yourself as small as possible so that you're not hearing it, you're not with it, you're not there. What that will do when you're doing that energetically is actually turn up the intensity, turn up the uncomfortableness. So when you drop your barriers, yes, you're going to probably be more aware of your unconsciousness, and that's the space of receiving more of your awareness. So barriers down, barriers down, barriers down. One of my favorite questions is, what do I know that I am unwilling to know? That if I would know it, would give me everything I truly desire. Short form of that is, what do I know that I'm unwilling to know? What do I know that I'm unwilling to know? What do I know that I'm unwilling to know? Sometimes I'm screaming that because I'm in that space, that deep space of pain and frustration. And yet, barriers down, barriers down, barriers down. So, one of the greatest things that you can do to get out of that head, which is creating a lot of the uncomfortableness and the uncomfortable emotions in your body, is to get into a space of more ease with your body. Move your body, dance, move that intense energy, swim, play, laugh, hug someone. Oh my God, a phenomenal hug can undo me so fast. It's phenomenal. Have a beautiful meal. Go for a walk in nature. Oh my gosh, the other day I went for a walk with a friend, and we walked as far as we could walk. And then when we were just about to turn around and walk back, it started to rain. And we thought we could beat the rain. We couldn't. And before you knew it, we were drenched. And we laughed so hard. And we said, thank you, thank you, thank you to the beautiful earth, to the beautiful nature, to the amazing, amazing contribution that the rain was to our bodies, and it changed the energy. What can you do that gives you greater joy with your body that could begin to change it so you could get some space and create some ease? And when you do get to that space, when you do create that ease, come back to the questions. What do I know that I'm unwilling to know? What do I know? If I was truly being me, what would I know? If I was truly being me, what would I desire? Because so many times when we're in that space of unconsciousness, how much are we actually picking up from the people around us? The intensity of their worlds, and we're buying that as real and true as ours, when it's not. How much of your uncomfortableness is your awareness of other people's uncomfortableness in their world around the same area that you're looking at? That if you were allowed it to go back, their portion, to go back to them, how much more space would that give you? Great question for that is, who does that belong to? I can't tell you how many friggin' times that I have been in this space, the growing pains of consciousness, and a dear friend has said to me, who does that belong to? Is that all yours? And I would go, it's like, duh, oh my God. Again, I forgot to ask that. Oh my God, okay, cool. Who does that belong to? And sometimes I'll get a big hit. It's none of it's mine, and I'll get a hit that some of it's mine. So any amount that is not mine, I now return to sender with consciousness attached. When you're doing that, you're allowing your body to let go of what is not yours, that you have chosen to hold on to with your acute awareness. Because you are always aware. You're always in that space of picking up other people's spaces of where they are choosing from in this time and space. When you allow that to go back to them, when you allow their uncomfortableness to leave you, you start to get more space. And that's where you lean in again. You lean in again. Each question, you are leaning in. That's all that's required, is to ask a question. And you, my friends, do not need to have an answer. All that's required is truth. Is any of this mine? And lean in again. And then one more time. Truth. What do I know that I'm unwilling to know? If I was truly being me, what would I choose? You know, at these times when you're asking these questions, a great tool to often have is a book and a pen or a pencil, and write down your thoughts. Get this up out of you. You know, sometimes when you have these thoughts rolling around in your head, and I know for me and many, many other people, when we unpack them, when we allow them to come out of our heads, just in the writing these down is we begin to get more and more awareness. Because here's what I've experienced. I wonder if anybody else is experiencing this. You have the same thoughts kind of swirling and swirling and swirling at the forefront of your uncomfortableness. And when you get those forefront thoughts, those crazy, uncomfortable, oh damn thoughts, when you get those poured out of you onto the page, what is behind those thoughts? Maybe more uncomfortableness, but maybe more of your awareness that you're now willing to be with, that you're now willing to lean more into. And there you go again. When you're writing those thoughts down, you're leaning in yet again. Guys, this is not quote unquote difficult. Okay, it's not like you have to go. I know people that have gone to places where they didn't speak for a month, or places where they just, you know, did yoga for 6 weeks, or, you know, they did some very, very extreme things. They're wonderful. All of those things are amazing, and they're not required in order for you to be able to move through your uncomfortableness. They can be a contribution, yes, but it still comes down to you choosing. It comes down to you having your awareness with your choice. So what are you choosing today that is expelling you through this uncomfortableness, through this unconsciousness that is creating the intensity? Are you willing? Ask yourself, are you really, truly willing to lean into it? Are you willing to say enough of being uncomfortable? Enough of it. I've got to choose this. I've got to have more and move past that intensity of craziness that you're feeling, where all of these thoughts are swirling and swirling. Lean in even more. Make the demand today that no matter what, you are going to have what you know you desire. And choose it, and choose it, and choose it. All right, we are up to our third break. We are going to go just for this short little break. When we get back, we're going to wrap up tonight's show. How can I unknow this unconsciousness stuff? Stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back.
Many of us make choices in our lives based on the past or what others think. What would our lives be like if we made choices based on what we desire in this moment? By tuning in to Inspired Choices radio show with Possibilities Coach Christine McIver, you'll receive tools and inspiration you can use to do just that. You are an infinite being with infinite choices. Are you ready to create the life and living you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices radio show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
What if you really do change molecules by your interaction with them? What if the change you've been looking for is right before your eyes? What if the uncomfortableness that comes with difference could be fun? What if the closed-minded people of the world no longer determined our world? What if gratitude trumps judgment every time? What if your kindness healed the world? What if the earth is asking for your help? And what if you had the resources to give it? This is your invitation to step into something that Einstein, Marie Curie, Picasso, Da Vinci, Shakespeare, Aristotle all knew to be true. Hi, my name is Dane here. 13 years ago I started to truly ask questions. Actually, I started to be the question, and everything changed for me. What if there are no dumb questions? Or any question too large? What if you being you are the gift and the change this world requires? Is now the time? For more questions to create a change in your world, sign up for a free video series at beingyouclass.com. My gift to you, beingyouclass.com.
This is Inspired Choices radio show with Possibilities Coach Christine McIver. To participate in the program, call in the U.S. 815-880-8255. In Canada, 613-800-8736, or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine@inspiredchoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
Okay, welcome, everybody. So we are in the last segment of our show tonight, where we are talking about the uncomfortableness of consciousness. So here's something that kind of popped for me during the break. And I'm wondering about you. What's the first thing that pops when I ask this question? What is really going to happen if you lean into more of this uncomfortableness? What have you decided is going to actually happen? What is going to be created if you lean in more and more? Everything that is times a godzillion. Will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right, wrong, good, bad, pock, pot, all nine, shorts, boys, and beyonds. So we have someone in the chat room that says it will turn into excitement. Oh my God. So you wouldn't lean into that for what reason? How many of us have concluded the outcome of our uncomfortableness, and therefore we stay in like the waiting room. We're in the waiting room of the uncomfortableness, not willing to actually lean in and go into, step right up to the plate of our lives. How many of us are just waiting in the dugout, in the uncomfortableness of it, trying to hide from it, where if we will just actually step up to the plate and swing, we would start to create something different. Oh, it may not be perfect. It may not actually be what you've decided you want it to be, but when you're leaning into choosing it and you're stepping into more and more of that, how much will actually change just because you're choosing? Everything that is times a godzillion will you destroy and uncreate it all. Right and wrong, good and bad, puck and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. So in this space of uncomfortableness, things get turned up. Things get really crazy, and they can get so beyond what we've ever imagined. And yet, please know that if you are in that space, you know greater than you're cognitively choosing to be aware of in these moments. Faith says, it won't be perfect, but it may push some of what I don't like seeing out of my world. Exactly. What is it that will actually change that you have not been willing to change? That if you would lean just a little more, just 10% more into this uncomfortableness, will that actually have you have more of you, have you have more of what it is that you desire, even if you don't know for sure what it's going to look like on that other side. If you were to drop your conclusions, if you were to drop your decisions, if you were to stay out of the future and stay in now, stay in this moment, in this space, and be with what is here and now, what could you actually create? Because you see, my friends, the uncomfortableness that you are often in is you are in an awareness in the future that you've decided is going to be created that you can change if you're willing to be here and now. Faith says, wow, this could be such a cool way to create change just by me being willing. How many others would be willing too, right? And you know what, Faith? That's exactly it. And everyone else, it's your willingness. It's your willingness to be with what's occurring that can change it all. And your willingness to have whatever awareness is coming that can create even more than you could possibly imagine. You know, some of the places and spaces and some of the tools that really started to unlock things for me was working with the, first of all, a lot of the tools that I learned in becoming a professionally trained coach. I took coach training from the CTI Coaches Training Institute, and we started to lean into those uncomfortable spaces. And then when I started to add the body of work of Access Consciousness, that was phenomenal. First of all, getting a little bit of space was the first place that body of work contributed, and taking the bars class was the very first thing that contributed. So if you're looking for a bars class to start to add to giving you some more space, do so at the Access Consciousness website. You can search wherever you are in the world. If you're in Ontario and you'd like to join me, I've got one coming up in 2 days. Would love to have you. And then the next body of work is the foundation. That is the foundation class with Access Consciousness, and I'll be having that coming up in 8 days in the Toronto area. I would love for you to join us. We will open up awareness that you never even imagined with that body of work, and it is going to be phenomenal. So, would love to have you there. I would love to have you join us. And coming up next week, I have How to Forget About Your Dreams with a wonderful guest, Lindsay Lewis. We are going to be tapping into how you can actually go beyond what your dreams have been. So, everyone, remember, you always have another choice. Talk to you next week.
Thank you for choosing to listen to Inspired Choices Radio Show. Christine McIver will return next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Until then, have the best week of your life by making the choices that bring you all that you desire.